Why are there so many planes over Cobb County this week?
And what happened to a young Marietta woman who's been missing for almost a week?
And the Braves go to the playoffs here in Smyrna once again. We'll have these stories and more coming up on the Tuesday edition of the MDJ Podcast.
It pays to know your doctor, it pays to know your lawyer, and more than ever, to know your local real estate professional. Hi, I'm Glenn Drake with Drake Realty with 7 offices in Metro Atlanta, including 2 right here in Cobb County. I'm the proud leader of over 700 agents here in Georgia. Drake Realty makes the home buying process seamless from contract to close. Our agents are a little different. They're not pushing for the quick sale and close. They're pushing for the best price and terms for their clients. In other words, Drake Realty fights for you. And right now, with the lowest interest rates that we've seen in 30 years, now's the time to buy that dream home, vacation home, upgrade, downsize, or new home your family deserves. A lot of real estate agents talk big. Let my team at Drake Realty prove they will fight for you. I'm Glenn Drake, and I'd be honored to have my team serve you. Visit us online at drakerealty.com. And remember, it's not how quick you sell or buy, it's how the deal sets up your future.
Welcome to the MDJ Podcast, your hyper-local news on the run. I'm your host, Darren Sutherland.
And I'm Amy Cargus. Thanks for joining us.
It's September 29th, 2020, National Coffee Day, and millions of people sigh and say, thank you, Jesus.
I'm one of those people there.
There you go.
Here are the top stories your friends and neighbors will be talking about over coffee.
At the time of this recording, there have been 426 deaths related to COVID-19 reported in Cobb County, with 19,551 confirmed cases. 5 deaths and 510 more cases in just 1 week.
If you're one of the 137,000 Cobb voters who've requested an absentee ballot for the November 3rd election, listen up. You now have more options for returning that ballot. Here with the details is Marietta Daily Journal and MDJOnline reporter Alex Gilbert.
There are a couple of ways that voters can return their absentee ballot. One of them is to send them back to the elections department by mail. Some voters might not be super comfortable doing that. It can take a while for that to go through, and as election day approaches, voters might be worried that they're cutting it a little bit too close. If that's the case, they can take that absentee ballot and head to one of the county's 16 ballot drop boxes. There were 4 of these boxes around the county for the June 9th primary, but some activists and Democratic politicians in the county said that really wasn't enough, that the elections department would need to install more to expand voting access to folks in the county, especially during a pandemic. So over the past couple of months, the Cobb Elections Department has installed another 12 for a total of 16 around the county. And it's really simple. If you've completed an absentee ballot, you just put it in an envelope, you head over to one of those drop boxes, you put it inside, and that's that. You can find a list on the Marietta Daily Journal's website, of course. You can also find a list on the county's website. The county has put out a little graphic that lists each of the drop boxes by their location in the county, north, south, northwest, etc.
As Alex mentioned, you can find the complete list of ballot boxes in his article on MDJOnline. Or if you still haven't registered, you have until October 5th to do so if you want to take part in the November general election.
If you've checked out the friendly skies over Cobb County, you may notice a bit more noise and air traffic overhead. It's nothing to be concerned about. Just some military training exercises taking place out at Dobbins Air Force Base this week. The exercises include low-flying airplanes and helicopters and will continue through Sunday, October 4th. The Department of Defense is also conducting similar training exercises in the Blairsville and Atlanta area over the next week. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the Braves start the playoffs again this week. They're playing the Cincinnati Reds in the first wild card round of the playoffs. It's the 2020 COVID-19 playoffs. The Braves, we don't get to watch them in person, but we can always watch them on TV. Check out your Smyrna Braves wherever you watch them locally, and As always, Amy, what do we say around here? Go Braves.
Go Braves.
And we go from a great story of the Braves to a sad one, Amy, as a Marietta woman who was missing for almost a week died after being involved in a single car crash in Bartow County, officials said. Denisha Williams was found Thursday night between Cartersville and Emerson, according to the Bartow County coroner. An autopsy by the Georgia Bureau of Investigations is pending.
In a social media post published last Tuesday, the Marietta Police Department said Williams was last seen driving a black Toyota Camry early in the morning on Saturday, September 19th. Marietta Police said Williams had not communicated with family or friends since the night of Friday, September 18th. In a Friday update to the Facebook post, the Marietta Police Department said Williams' body and vehicle had been located. The post also included a message from Williams' family thanking supporters.
Coming up in today's guest spotlight, we'll hear from one of Wellstar's doctors on why it's important not to skip those cancer screenings even during a pandemic.
Engineered Solutions of Georgia.
Hey Atlanta, this is Jay and Lewis, owners of Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Lewis, what should a homeowner do if they have a crack in their block wall, corner of their door, window, or concrete foundation?
Well, Jay, if it's a diagonal crack, this lets us know that they should be concerned and there could be a serious problem. Then they should call our office at 678-ESOG now and set up an appointment to have one of our qualified professional technicians come out to their property to take a look at the problem.
I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. I've done the research already, so you don't have to. You can trust Engineered Solutions of Georgia.
Give Engineered Solutions of Georgia a call at 678-ESOG now.
Engineered Solutions of Georgia. We guarantee a stable, dry foundation. Dial 678-ESOG now.
You deserve better than your bank. Better service, better rates, better solutions. If you live or work in Cobb County, now is the perfect time to make the switch to the Credit Union of Georgia, the better way to bank. Since 1960, Credit Union of Georgia has been providing Northwest Georgia with financial solutions that make sense for your home, business, and family. As a homegrown, not-for-profit cooperative, our members are our mission. Not only will you get the best loan rates, you'll get personalized customer service from people who understand your needs. Plus, Credit Union of Georgia provides real convenience with a network of more than 30,000 accessible ATMs and branch locations across the country. Of course, there's also 5 locations right here in Cobb County. Ready to see how much better your banking can be with Credit Union of Georgia? Become a member today or apply for a loan online by visiting www.cuofga.org. Credit Union of Georgia, the better way to bank.
In today's guest spotlight, Marietta Daily Journal and MDJOnline reporter Shannon Ballew talks to Dr. Arif Aziz, a gastroenterologist with Wellstar Health Systems, about catching cancer early.
Dr. Aziz, can you tell me which cancers can be detected through screening?
Before I mention which cancers, I just want to clarify for the lay people that screening, by definition, is a test which is done in the absence of symptoms to diagnose a cancer at an early stage. So it's very important to understand screening is done before the symptoms come on. So the cancers that can be detected by screening are cervical cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, and later we'll talk about colon cancer. Screening is important because it improves survival and cure rates.
What difference does screening make in, detecting cancers early and the outcomes if you do find it early?
So really the whole purpose of screening is to detect a cancer at an early stage. So the earlier the cancer is detected, the higher the cure rate. So for example, with colon cancer, if it is diagnosed at stage 1, then the 5-year survival is upwards of 90%, versus if it is diagnosed at stage 4, the 5-year survival is around 14%. That's a huge, huge difference.
There's a pretty big gap there. when should people get screened for different types of cancers, or at what ages?
So first of all, it's very important for people to partner with their physicians, because there are general screening recommendations, but there are specific recommendations for people in different circumstances. So when I say something, for example, screening for cervical cancer should start at age 21. For breast cancer should start at age 40 or 50, depending on their history or family history. And for lung cancer, it should start at age 55 based on their smoking history. So the key is people shouldn't think, well, I'm 35, I don't need breast cancer screening. Talk to your physician, partner with them, and then find out exactly what's the right age for you to start the screening. For colon cancer, so colon cancer is cancer of the large intestine. Colon cancer is the third leading cancer in both men and women. And the risk of colon cancer starts increasing after the age of 50. Now, these days we are seeing more and more colon cancer in younger people. So no age is protected, but the highest incidence is after the age of 50. And that there's higher incidence in people who have family history of colon cancer or who have certain symptoms. So it is very important to get screened at an appropriate age. The colon screening for colon cancer starts at the age of 50 in what we call in our world average risk people, which are people who don't have family history and don't have any symptoms.
I know you didn't mention pancreatic cancer in the group of cancers that can get screened, but that's also one that, if it's found late, can also be a risk, right?
Yes. So pancreatic cancer should be diagnosed as early as possible, but screening is not recommended in average risk people. So if somebody has family history, then they should consult with their physicians. And also, people should not take their symptoms lightly. So if there's a concern of pancreatic cancer or if there's a family history, then partner with your physician. But there's no recommendations to screen, which again, I'll go back to testing in patients who don't have symptoms.
Okay, but that's also part of the gastrointestinal
Yes,
disease.
Cancers.
So, okay, so back to colon cancer. How do you detect for that, and are there different ways to get screened?
There are several different tests that are approved for screening for colon cancer. Of them, the three best are colonoscopy, FIT test, F-I-T as in telephone, FIT, all in uppercase, and Cologuard. Of these three, colonoscopy is the best test because it is the most sensitive test of all three. The other advantage of colonoscopy is that not only does it diagnose, but it also treats. And what I mean is, when we do a colonoscopy, when I'm doing a colonoscopy and I see a polyp, I remove the polyp. The polyp is a benign tumor which can potentially go on to become a cancer. So colon cancers, most of the colon cancers start as polyp. So if you do colonoscopies and remove polyps, then we prevent cancer. So not only does colonoscopy help in early diagnosis of cancer, but also helps in preventing cancer. The other two tests, FIT test and Cologuard, are stool-based tests, and they are very good alternatives for people who are not inclined to do a colonoscopy.
Yeah, I was going to say, people hear the word colonoscopy and there's a kind of a reaction sometimes to that.
And that is fair, because there is a fear and anxiety about colonoscopy, and people do shy away from colonoscopy. And most of that fear is based on the fact that people, A, it's an invasive test, B, you have to take a day out of your work, and then you get sedation or anesthesia. And all these things negatively impact people's willingness to get a colonoscopy done. But I tell you, quite often people, once they get the colonoscopy done, say, "Hey, Dr. Aziz, this was not as bad as I thought it was going to be."
Thank you for joining us for the Marietta Daily Journal podcast from your local news source, the Marietta Daily Journal and MDJ Online.
Grab a copy of today's paper and visit MDJOnline for complete details on the stories we've discussed, plus more stories that affect you and the citizens of Cobb and surrounding areas.
Subscribe and share this podcast to get all the latest hyper-local updates, or ask Alexa or Google Home to play the Marietta Daily Journal podcast for you.
Share your thoughts or questions with us in the comments section, or call the MDJ Podcast comment line at 404-997-8655. We might share your comments on an upcoming episode.
The MDJ Podcast is produced by BG Ad Group. Amy Cargus, producer. Jacob Sutherland, director. Copyright 2020. All rights reserved. Remember, we are all in this together. Blessings on each of you, and stay 6 foot away and safe.
Thank you for listening to the Marietta Daily Journal podcast, brought to you by Carmichael Funeral Homes and Cremation Services in Smyrna and Marietta, celebrating memories you'll always cherish.